have one more. 5, 6, 7, 8. The advertised high is ours to take. 9, 10, 11, 12. Don't say we're too young to live in hell.
I'm scared because I feel like it's like, I don't know why. I'm scared.
The family reunion came around, and I stole about $150 from my grandfather, who's the only person I really cared about through my whole using. He's the only last person that really meant something to me, and I finally screwed that last person over.
My name is Jayna. 99% of all American teenagers have experimented with drugs or alcohol by their senior year in high school.
I began using drugs about the age of 11 years old when I was in the 6th grade. And I started using drugs purely out of curiosity.
My name is Theo. At least 3.3 million kids in the U.S. have a serious drinking problem.
My real father gave me alcohol in my bottle when I was about 1. Just like to put me to sleep, and from what she's told me, I've always liked it. I started drinking regularly when I was about 8.
My name is Dave. The national suicide rate for the chemically dependent youth is 58 times greater than the non-dependent.
Every time I came down, I felt real bad with myself. I felt real lonely. And it got to the point every time I run out, I wanted to kill myself.
My name is Seana. Every 5 seconds, a teenager has a drug or alcohol-related accident. Every 23 minutes, a teenager dies in such an accident.
I came very close when I broke my neck in an automobile accident. And I said sincerely, and I cried, and I said, God, I never want to use drugs again. This is it. I've come so close to death this time, and it's just scaring me. And it's like as soon as I could walk again and take care of myself a little bit. In the hospital, I was smoking marijuana, and did some cocaine.
Addiction does not discriminate.
It doesn't respect color,
Cultural background,
School district,
Sex,
IQ,
or age.
I started using drugs when I was 11 years old. I started using cocaine approximately 14 years old. My grandfather and my grandmother are both alcoholics, recovering alcoholics, and my aunt is a recovering drug addict and alcoholic.
I started using crack because I was depressed. I was depressed because my brother died at the time. It was suicide, and it really bothered me to the point that I couldn't find a way out of from being depressed, so I used cocaine.
I'd always felt lower than the other people around me, and when I got into drugs, I felt enlightened. I felt that I'd found something that the jocks didn't know about.
It was more a thing of acceptance. I didn't go to the regular high school that my other friends went to. I went to a private high school in the beginning. So it was more the thing of being accepted, and I know that's a real common thing that people blame kids using drugs on that. But for me, it was only that in the beginning. Then afterwards, I did make a choice that that's the kind of life I wanted to lead.
Well, when I was high, I felt really important because I had a lot of coke, and all my friends were coming up to me, and they look up to me, oh, you are the coke man.
When I was 5, I was in a car accident. I was hit by a car, and it left me with my left arm paralyzed, and still is today. So I had a lot of fears of being accepted, and I had a lot of low self-esteem from that. So that was a real good reason to drink and use.
I mean, I had a big thing about I wanted everybody to like me. If I wasn't as good in a sport or whatever it was, at least I could be good at drugs.
My whole body feels like jello, and my mind is 1,000,000 miles away. I'm never gonna come down.
When I used cocaine for the first time, it was sort of, I just felt so good. It was like I was on top of everything. I knew everything, and I could talk about anything in the world, and I liked almost everybody, and I felt pretty, and I felt smart, and it was just like euphoric.
Then when you smoke it, it just gives you that rush, I mean, there's so enough rush, and you feel good for about, I say like, for 5 minutes while you're holding it. When you blow it out, just be real relaxed. You know, and then it only lasts for like 20 minutes. After that's gone, you want another one.
I thought I had found God. It was the best experience I'd ever had. Just talking, you know, to anybody. I loved everything and everybody, and it just was fabulous. I was into it.
I'm big or I'm bad. Nothing can stand in my way.
I felt like I could conquer the world on cocaine. I loved it. I got real sick behind it. I got real crazy behind it. I was like snorting it in a bathroom at McDonald's. Like when I was done, I'd lick the whole toilet seat and everything to make sure I got all the cocaine off. And I started doing really sick things for it, you know, anything to do cocaine, to get it.
We were all into it. I was proud of it. And besides, I had an image to maintain.
Yeah,
Drinking and drugging, it is the thing to do. We just wanted to play, and we started like you. It's normal, it's social, it happens at home. But addiction is cunning. You're the last one to know.
In the beginning, maybe when I was a sophomore in high school, when I was about 16, I'd need only like a quarter gram on a special occasion. Then I'd need a quarter gram to myself. So if I was with a girlfriend or somebody, we'd get a half a gram. And then about 6 months later, like the following summer, we'd get a gram for a couple of us. And then what we do is, then a couple months after that, we'd get like a group of 5 people and get like a quarter ounce of it. You know, it got larger and larger.
Crack is cocaine, and it's in a rock form, like a little rock, and it costs, the way I used to smoke, I used to spend like $300 a day. Each rock costed $20 a piece. And it's just like, you know, once you start smoking, you never stop spending.
I would sell my possessions, things that were given to me and things I had bought. I would steal possessions of other people, such as car stereos, guitars, things as such. I would also steal drugs from dealers and cash from my dealers to get the drug. It didn't bother me. All that mattered was to get cocaine.
At first you will take a line, it will take you high for about 20 minutes, and then you will go lower than normal, and then you will take another line. You won't get as high as you were before, and you will go lower. And if you keep doing that all night, when you do a line, you will just get to normal, and then you will sink down.
The euphoric feeling started to go away. I started using it and I'd just be nervous and paranoid, but I had to have it because I kept on thinking that I was going to get that other feeling back, and it wasn't happening.
Why isn't it working? I mean, I get better dope. The beer is always around. But I can't get high anymore. And I keep on trying. God, I used to have so much fun.
I wanted to smoke it all at once and do all the coke at once. And right then I realized I couldn't just do it, you know, socially anymore.
I had no idea of what I was going to do with myself, and that scared me because I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't have the grades. You know, I was lucky if I was going to graduate from high school. And I saw all these people moving up around me, and I was staying still. I wasn't going anywhere.
I didn't confront Michael. Looking back now, I can see clearly because I didn't want to know what he was doing, and I was hurt. I didn't want to see this happening to my child.
I think it was important that she confronted me because subconsciously, towards the end, I didn't want to do it anymore. I really don't know why. Maybe I was looking for a way out, and I wanted them to know, so they'd do something. But then again, I didn't want them to know, so I hid it from them.
One thing just kept leading to another.
He started failing in school. All the typical things that you hear happening to someone, you know, using drugs, but I never believed that that was the problem. I thought he was just going through a teenage adolescence.
I didn't really blame him, but I lost all respect for him because I was able to bullshit him so well and run a game on him.
I was getting to the point where I didn't even like Michael to be around the house.
Down a pint of Jack Daniels and half a pint of Bacardi. within like 20 minutes. And I came home.
He came in, he could hardly walk, and I thought that jumping in the swimming pool would maybe sober him up a little bit. I made him swim about 10 laps, and he did. He swam them, and then he got out, and I asked him if he felt better, and he said, yes, he did.
That's all I really remember until, and I remember ending up in San Mateo or something that night.
When he asked if he could go home, leave that night to go with a friend, I let him go, which was exactly the wrong thing to do, but I didn't want the confrontation. I didn't want to face. I wanted him gone. And maybe that sounds cold, but then no child could be loved more than Michael was loved, but you get to the point where it's just too hard. It just hurts too much to really look at what's happening, and it was easier to avoid it.
Anybody who uses needles has got to be an addict.
That's not true. Addicts are the ones who are dead.
Oh, man.
I'm 17, and I am not dead.
Yet.
I denied it by saying, this is normal. All my friends are doing this, you know. But all my friends weren't. They weren't doing it the way I was doing it.
I never thought I was really addicted because I believed that an addict was somebody who lost everything for drugs, and that's all they did was take drugs all day, which in the end is what I wound up doing.
I'd be, you know, trying to get to sleep. That's like when I'd go and I'd try to get to sleep when I was still on coke, and I'd be really wired, and my mind would just be sitting there cutting me down, and my heart was just aching, and I just was so confused. And then the next day I'd get up and I'd do it again.
It's usually the father that really does not see what's in front of his face. He doesn't want to think of drugs. And frankly, it took an interventionist, a drug counselor, to tell me that Tony was a drug addict.
I was furious at my husband because he couldn't see it. Don't you see that he's lying and stealing? I was feeling guilty myself. It's a period of feeling very helpless, hopeless, and totally desolate. You feel very alone.
I had a hard time believing that my parents still loved me because I'd screwed them over so many times. I feel like my mom hated me, and I couldn't understand how she could hate me but still love me. And that's one of the reasons I had a hard time turning to them and asking for help.
Nobody understands me. Nobody. Just give me another shot so I don't have to look at them. Why doesn't it make them like me? I'm so lonely. And my whole body aches. Why do I have to keep putting so many holes in my arm? I hate that I can't stop. It didn't used to be that way. I feel like I'm a failure. I feel so raped when I come down. Can't I use to have fun? Is this a problem? What do I do? Somebody, talk to me. Listen to me.
I couldn't take anymore. I was just like sick and tired of being sick and tired. All the pain that I'd hidden just all ripped out. I just started crying. I was screaming. I can remember screaming at Michael, probably the loudest I've ever screamed at anybody. And I can remember using the words, you've hit the bottom. Exactly, remember, you're at the bottom.
Just broken promises, you know, promises to yourself that you try to keep about not using drugs, and also having it just affect your family life, your school life, everything in your life, you know. If drugs and alcohol affects areas of your life, then you're an addict.
I'd wake up in the morning and I'd drink beer. And then I'd get to school and I'd smoke pot. And then maybe in the afternoon someone would turn me on to some coke, and in the early evening I'd drop some acid. And that was an actual typical day for me.
I usually push it to the limit. I know if I'm take all this, I'm gonna die, so I'm just gonna take a little bit off and do the rest and see what happens.
They were still letting me stay at home. I still wasn't kicked out of school yet. So I still had all my props. I still was able to live the crazy life I was living without really being called on it, without anybody saying, hey, you know what, we're not going to accept this behavior anymore.
And I figured I could snort some coke and not pay for it because I would sell it and I'd get free cocaine, but it never worked out. I would always snort it.
It's like, I can get it anywhere I want it. I had it. It wasn't no problem to get, and I kept getting it and kept getting it, and I got tired of kept getting it, and it just was destroying my life, and I couldn't deal with it.
I got to the point where I started using my sexuality and flirting with guys and going out with guys that I knew had drugs so I could use them, so I could get high. And I got accused of doing that, like what they call it around here is a coke whore, somebody that just hangs out with people that have money and have drugs. And I guess that's what I had become, but at the time I didn't think that's what it was, I just would convince myself that I really liked these guys, and I'd go out with them, and they'd get me high, and I'd do whatever I had to do for them not to think that I was just using them for their drugs.
When I was standing in the driveway, just some glass shattered right next to me, and I think he knocked a window pane out and thrown it at me. And I really realized then that this kid was out of hand and I had to get him out of the house. And it just sort of struck me I had to survive, and I didn't care what the law was. I was either going to kick him out of the house or do something.
I think I was giving a lot of the signs the same. The mood swings, depression. Was trying to, slip my ankles and slip my wrists and end up in the hospital for ODing on Midol. I think those were signs that I gave out saying help.
When I finally wanted out, I thought that I needed to do something, and so I talked to a football coach about joining the football team. And, he thought the idea would work, but it didn't. I went to a couple of football practices and ended up wiring up on speed before one, just to make it through. And at that point I realized that that I couldn't handle it.
So all the outside stuff started falling apart. See, the inside stuff felt really bad, but if I just kept on getting high, then I wouldn't feel that. But once the outside stuff started going away, it was more than I could handle. It was kind of like a dam that's breaking, It was just building up, and all of a sudden I just couldn't handle it anymore.
I felt hopeless. I felt like nobody could help me. There was nobody that could fix me.
1, 2, 3, 4. Make the move, find the door. 5, 6, 7, 8. Truth the key, our lives at stake. 9, 10, 11, 12. This step we take is for ourselves.
I actually believed that when I came into treatment and you took my drugs away for a week, I would die, because that was what was keeping me alive. I found out that didn't happen.
My motives were not to come here and get sober and lead a sober life and have goals and get my morals back and all that. I just wanted a place to stay, and so I was grateful for that. That was like the first couple days. Then what happened was I got pissed off because I found out that they tricked me and that I was indeed here for the same reason that all the other kids were here, and I thought I was different. I just thought that they just let me in here because I needed emotional help, and it's not why.
But the first step is definitely the hardest, and that is, as a parent, and that is saying, one, you have no control over that child or the child's problem, and two, that you can't help them. There's no way you can fix it. And as a parent, that's really tough.
Even if you have to cry now, Jen, try to just go ahead and talk through those tears and tell us what it is that you're feeling. Here you are. You're here with a lot of people that you know. And it's a chance right now to move through this one. So I'm asking you to stay open.
Okay. the part about my home life is it's just hard getting sober in my mom's house. I got on this whole trip this weekend because she started telling me all this stuff like you're getting bad grades again and your car's a mess and your room's a mess and I can't trust you and I don't believe in you anymore. And,
that's good, right?
yeah, it did, but then I said, of course I had my little part in there too that tore her up, of course. But.
I'm wondering if it's really okay for you to feel like this, Jennifer. Give yourself that you're a human and that you're allowed to feel like crap. Because I don't see you giving yourself that at all. You're okay, you are okay and you're allowed to feel this way.
Admitting that you're powerless is sort of surrendering to the fight that we put up when we're in the midst of our addictions, like I was explaining to you, no matter how bad it was getting, I was still just going out and doing it, and saying, okay, I'm powerless, and surrendering to it all is what it's really all about here. Just saying, okay, I'm going to trust you, I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to try and be as open as I can so that maybe what you know can get inside of me and I can maybe go on with my life.
They keep telling you, you must take care of yourself. You can't concentrate on the addict. You must make your own life fulfilling and rewarding and keep moving ahead, because he maybe will be an addict and your children and all around you, things will be crashing, but you have to develop your own life. And I didn't really understand that until I got into the education program at Tony's treatment center, that this is very important. Take care of yourself.
I was still so mad at Tony, I didn't see why I needed to participate in this process. It was his problem, not mine. And then he immediately came to us and said, boy, am I in the wrong place. He said, there are people with serious drug problems here. I mean, there are coke dealers and people who shoot heroin and nasty people and promiscuous girls. And I walked in and looked at the people, and we started a meeting, and people started talking and saying what was on their mind and what they felt. And I immediately had a feeling that there was more honesty going on than I'd experienced in my life.
He's always done this. He's been a con man. And I was terrified that they were going to buy it, and we were going to get this kid back who had faked his way through the program and be stuck with the same problems. But the thing is you can't bullshit a bullshitter, and this became evident to me as the program progressed.
One of the most difficult things for me to do in treatment was cry. And I did, and it was just like the first time I cried, just pounds that were on my shoulder, everything was just like lifted up. And another real, extremely difficult thing to do is to let somebody know that they hurt me. Instead of getting angry and just, fighting back, to actually say, what you just did hurt my feelings.
Recovery has been the most painful and difficult, yet beautiful thing that has ever happened to any of us. What we were looking for all along, we found in recovery. That feeling of being okay. We know that as long as we don't take that first fixed pill, drink, or joint, we are okay.
Drugs and alcohol controlled my life and made my life just completely unmanageable. And even though I can say that, it's sometimes is hard to accept, I can easily admit it, but the accepting part is the hardest part of it. And I'm still working with that, I'm still working with it.
I was a little too scared and a little too cool. I thought I could handle it. I thought I was big and bad and I could do it. But I don't care how big and how bad you are, drugs will take over.
I think the most important thing you can do is be supportive to your children, but try not to smother them with your love, and to educate yourself as to the signs of drug addiction or drug use, and then follow through. And don't be afraid to confront your child. It's life and death.
I'd like to stress the importance of family treatment. I think that when there is one addict or alcoholic or several in a family, the whole family needs help, not only dealing with the addict alcoholic, but in dealing with themselves and the feelings that they've been going through, usually for years. It's really important for everybody. and we never stopped loving him.
Today I can, say if I only just didn't do freebase and cut out all my cocaine use and just smoked a little marijuana and drank, I just know that I couldn't do that because when I was using from September to February, I said I'm just going to drink, and then before I knew it I was smoking pot, and then I was doing cocaine, and then when I started doing that, it just got really crazy.
If you think you have a problem with cocaine, you do have a problem with cocaine. I think if anyone wants help, get it. This disease is life-threatening. Like I was saying last night, I like it too much up here. I don't wanna be 6 feet under, and that's where it eventually is gonna lead.
Cocaine makes it very difficult to accept powerlessness. It gives such a great feeling. Even now, I can not ever comprehend giving up cocaine for the rest of my life. I can do it for today, one day at a time, but the concept of giving it up forever is incomprehensible.
Today I am clean and sober.
One day at a time, I remember where I've been.
One day at a time, I accept who I am.
One day at a time, I choose not to drink or do drugs.
We do recover if we have the capacity to be honest with ourselves. My name is Theo, and I am an alcoholic.
My name is Jayna, and I am an addict.
My name is Dave, and I am an addict alcoholic.
My name is Seana, and I'm an addict alcoholic.
It's really exciting, this whole new thing. It's like being reborn. It's like learning how to walk all over again. It's the fact that I know that I don't need to use drugs really helps.
Drugs and alcohol are my worst enemy. They want to beat me up. That's how I phrase it. They want to kick my ass, and they will if I let them.
I just think it's real important for kids to know that there's always hope, no matter how bad they feel, no matter if they feel like killing themselves because it hurts so bad and their parents don't want to talk to them and nobody wants to talk to them, that there are places that are around that will help you, There's a lot of people that would.
Coming out of rehab, you feel naked and scared, and there isn't a peer group and a staff of counselors right there to help you when you start feeling stuff. Sometimes some of your friends can invite you over to party. That's real scary.
When I was using crack, I didn't think about no future. I just thought about that day and where I was going to get the next crack. But now I realize there's a lot of things I ain't seen, a lot of things I ain't did, which I want to do and see. And it's just a lot more in life that I want now.